Hey, thanks for tuning into my podcast. This is Big Head on the Block, hosted by me, Tim Henderson, aka Big Head. It's me, Big Head, and we back on the block. We're going to talk today and over the next several podcasts. I'm going to have short podcasts, and we're going to talk about fighting crime in Baton Rouge. I'm going to give some insight and strategies on things that I think can work. First of all, people, they come to me all the time and they say, Big Head, what can we do about solving crime in Baton Rouge? How can we make it a less violent place so we can go visit there, so we can go work there, so we can take our family and enjoy some of the things that Baton Rouge has to offer? And I say to them, there's really not one solution. It's really a long-term strategy that you have to implement, and then you have to kind of pivot and see what's working and move forward with those agendas and not move forward with things that are not working. And too many times in Baton Rouge, historically, we stay and implement strategies and we stay with them, even though they're really not working and showing the true value that they were intended to show. So when I ran for chief of police, I indicated to the committee that interviewed me, I told them, we're going to find strategies that we believe are going to work. And if they're not working, we're going to pivot and we're going to move elsewhere. And I think that Baton Rouge is to that point now. So I'm going to give you some of my opinions, just my opinions. These are not reflective of anybody else. These come from me based on 32 years experience as a police officer. I'm a retired lieutenant with the Baton Rouge City Police. I was a crime fighter, so I think I'm entitled to give my opinion because I think I was an effective crime fighter over the many decades that I was a police officer in the Baton Rouge area. So to the new mayor and to the chief of Baton Rouge, I only wish both of you success in your endeavors as leaders in the community. I will say this, I would surround myself with people that I trusted that had the same vision as me, not necessarily the same ideas or the same strategies, because we don't need everybody thinking alike. We need different points of view. We need different opinions, and then we can focus our efforts into coming up with a good strategy. One, not based on somebody's political agenda, not based on other people's outside influence. It has to be based on solving crime in Baton Rouge and stopping the violent crime trends in Baton Rouge, period. If your focus is anything else, if you're trying to help this person or this group or whatever, it's not going to work. You have to focus all your attention on crime fighting. Strategy number one is pay. And I'll say strategy number one is pay. It's not my first strategy, but it's a strategy that I'll tell you is the most important. And here's why it's the most important. Because to bring people into your organization that may have chosen to go elsewhere, you have to have a good starting salary. But what y'all need to focus on is this. You also need a good benefit package. And years ago, I voted against it, but our union came forward with a new contract, and there was a lot of things lost in that contract as far as the benefit package. And I didn't agree with it, and I don't agree with it now. Because the starting salary will get somebody there, but the benefit package will keep them there. They know that in 30 years, they're going to have a good benefit, a good retirement, and they'll be able to provide for their family along the way. But make no mistake about it, Mayor, Chief, the one thing that money's not going to do is make the city any safer, and it's not going to make your force any better. You have to implement strategies based on crime fighting, like I said earlier. So paying people $100,000 doesn't equate to you having a better police force. Please give them all the money you can. I hope they all make $100,000 a year. I've never said that I wanted anybody to have less than what they're worth. And there's really no way to put a value on a police officer's life because they subjected to some of the worst elements, environments in any kind of working situation, no matter what the profession. So pay them what they're worth, but don't take that as, hey, we're paying all this money now to our employees, and this is going to equate to a better, safer Baton Rouge. It's not. So that was strategy number one. Strategy number two is simple. You have to beef up your uniform patrol division. They all say it, but I don't know that any chief has really focused their efforts. You have to beef up the uniform patrol. And even though there's a lot of people under the uniform patrol umbrella, you have to take these people, the traffic division, the K-9 division, and what other divisions that are under the uniform patrol division, and you need to put them out on the street. You need them, have them handling calls for service. You can have motormen assigned to every shift. You can have K9 assigned to every shift. They don't have to be exclusive entities that handle things in the way they do. They need to put these people back into the area where they are answering calls for service, assisting the uniform patrol. Because listen, you're under an official attack in your city. The violence is there. You have to focus all your attention and efforts. And right now, while you're in a state of emergency, if you will, you have to focus all your efforts and energy into solving crime and solving the violent crime, which is the most important crime to solve right now. And listen, I know some people are going to be listening to this podcast and they're going to give you every reason why K9 can't be on the squad. They're going to give you every reason why traffic department can't be on the squad. You as commanders or leaders, y'all have to make the decision that we have to focus all our energy and efforts into the actual streets, right? Period. That's a strategy that's sound. And whenever you do that, it's going to take a little bit of the burden off of your detective divisions because you're going to have more assets in a more confined area that are able to show visibility, which is going to deter some crime, and they're able to do follow-up and have a better chance of solving crimes daily as opposed to doing it with a follow-up division. But this is really going to piss a few people off, probably half of the department. Along with those people that you allow to be in the calls for service situation, you need to implement 12-hour shifts. That's a strategy that you can do long-term, and you can say, hey, for 6 months, we're going to give it a try. It's going to affect everybody's extra duty. I get it. I was always a proponent for 12-hour shifts. For the last 15 years, I've been saying we need 12-hour shifts. But along with those 12-hour shifts, you have to have mandatory minimums because you don't want these people overworked and people can say what they want. Cops don't get paid for how much work they do. They get paid for the type of work they do. But you have to have 18 to 20 people on each squad, and that's going to consist of you reorganizing some of the divisions that just aren't a priority right now. Your recruiting division, your public information officer, you have people that are in command positions that have assistants. Anybody that's not essential to the function of the police department, they need to be out there handling calls. They need to be assisting your uniform patrol division, which will enhance the success of your department. The backbone of the police department is the uniform patrol. It's time that somebody actually implemented that strategy. And look, for every argument you give me, well, we need a recruiting department. I get it. Have them temporary whenever they're off. If you're paying overtime instead of paying manpower overtime, pay them to go do recruiting. But look, recruiting really isn't working right now. The academy training staff, you can actually put them back 10-8 once this academy is done. Guess what? There's Carter. You can let Carter train our people. I don't really see a big reason to run an academy for 10 to 15 people. And I don't see that recruiting is providing a primary function for the department because that's not many people in an academy. So I've always believed that recruiting will take care of itself through morale and through the officers that you have working. You have 500 and some officers that are happy, that are content, that are doing their job. The city's safe. There's not a lot of turmoil. And guess what? People are going to want to come to Baton Rouge. It's not about how many people you can convince to come. They should want to come. Just like when I was a young cop, everybody wanted to come to Baton Rouge. Why? Because the morale was good. The benefits were good. The pay was adequate. It wasn't that good, but we could make a living and we could work extra duty. But you're going to take some of those stressors off of people if you're able to get them a higher salary. Third thing I'm going to talk about on this podcast, and then we'll talk about more stuff in depth later, is intelligence-based policing. You can't do zero tolerance in neighborhoods in Baton Rouge because all that does is target the innocent people in the area, and those aren't the ones committing the violent crimes. So my strategy is this: intelligence-based policing. You have to get your analysts together. You have to get your crime fighters. You have to get the district attorney, probation and parole. You have to get all your federal and state partners in one room, and you have to come up with a mission. And the mission is this: let's pick the 20 baddest people, the people that are committing crimes that we either believe are currently committing crimes or have committed crimes, and we're going to target them. The most violent of the violent. That's who you have to target. Make a 20-person list. That way you can have some success. If you make a 100-person list, it's going to take you forever to do that. Set a tangible goal of 20 people. Send a list. Once it's compiled, send a list to the media and say, Here's a redacted list of the 20 people that we're targeting. And that might sound silly to you, but here's what I'll tell you. You send that list, every name is redacted. The bad guys see the list. They know that there's a list out there. And now they're wondering, am I in that top 20 list? Right? So either their ego is going to say, yeah, I'm in that top 20 list, or they're going to hope they're not in the top 20 list. Right? But whenever you make arrest, you can make 1, 2, 3 arrests or whatever. Then you can unredact those names and say, hey, this is this is number 1, this is number 15. You can rank them in order of priority. And if you get number 15, then you can unredact it and say number 15 was arrested for this, this, and this. Follow them through the court system. Let everybody see that we had success. Once you finish that top 20, then you can reorganize and reestablish your goals. You can see how it worked, how long it took you to actually implement the strategy as far as incarcerating these violent people. And like the great military strategist Sun Tzu said, every battle is won before it's fought. You should already know the outcome of the battle because you have done your research, you have done your analytics, and you know who the people are, and you know how to fight them. So you should already win before you even start. And that's what I'll tell you about intelligence-based policing. It has to be done in order to have an effective crime-fighting strategy that does not get the innocent people or the good citizens of Baton Rouge tangled in that web. Now, like I said at the onset of this, there's really no one solution. I've given you a few good ideas and strategies. If you like them, so be it. I hope that you utilize them and have success. If you think that they're no good or you think it's going to deplete morale or whatever, then don't do it. I'm just giving you some ideas of what I would do if I was in the decision-making process. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Big Head on the Block. I'm Tim Henderson, the host. I look forward to dropping another podcast soon. Please give us any comments, likes, dislikes, or any topics y'all would like to discuss. Thank you.